All right, so today let's start in a child's pose. And first thing of the day, this can always feel a little intense, so you can always use some props, a couple blankets or a bolster underneath your belly if you want this to be a little more passive. Also stretching forward sometimes initially. It's hard to rest the head on the floor for some of us, so you can always use some blocks underneath your head. So just find a child's pose that feels nice and even. The wider you go with the legs, the more you're gonna feel a stretch kind of in the groin and the outer hip. So if that feels good to you, you can move in that direction. Otherwise, legs can be a little closer together. And then as far as arms go, just play around and see what feels good. Maybe you're reaching forward, kind of might be in cactus arms. Sometimes it feels nice to let the arms reach back by the legs. So just seeing where you feel good. And then starting to find your breath. So maybe you're going to want to take a few exhales out through the mouth. Just kind of let the week so far go. Welcome, Tanya. And then eventually you begin to find that even steady rhythm of your breath. So that inhale through the nose, you start to constrict the sides of the throat ever so gently. So there is a sound to your breath. And then that same quality happens as you're exhaling. And right away, you're just dropping into that sound of your breath. You're using it as a tool to help focus and quiet the mind. It almost has this calming effect for many of us. Observe the expansion of the rib cage, especially in your inhale. Really try to breathe into the back ribs, the back of your body. Feel that widen and fill up. As you exhale, notice how everything contracts in, moves in towards the center. Another moment or two here. Good. Take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then let's inhale, rock up to our tabletop. So you'll stretch your arms forward, just move any props out of the way if you need to. Let's move in a couple rounds of cat-cow here. So as you inhale, arch into your lumbar, chest comes forward through the gates of the shoulders. Exhale, press the mat away vigorously. So you start to round in the thoracic, the upper spine, let the back of your neck lengthen and release down. Inhaling, arching, beautiful work. Exhaling, rounding in. Eyes can still be closed here, so gaze is inward. Just kind of starting to find this idea of vinyasa, moving with your breath at your pace. So just finding a rhythm that feels really good here. Couple more rounds. Good, so inhale, come into that cow stretch. So you're feeling your shoulder blades slide down your back and in towards each other. You're open across your heart and chest, gaze slightly forward. You've got this arch in your lumbar. So just notice all of the sensations happening here. And then as you exhale, round into that cat stretch, but then start to reach your sit bones back towards your heels so you find your child's pose again. And then inhale. Find that arch in your lumbar, come up towards that cow stretch, good. Same thing, exhale, round in, let that carry you back. So you sit back on your heels, release down, couple more like that. Inhale, find the arch in your lumbar as you come up. Exhale, start to round, pull your belly button towards those back ribs, melt back into your child's pose. Good. Inhale, start to arch in the lumbar. One more here. Exhale, press the mat away. Round in, melt back. Good. So this time we're going to inhale up to that cat stretch. And then we're going to exhale. Keep that arch in your lumbar. You're going to bring your chin and your chest towards the floor. So your booty's lifted. Yeah. Exactly. And then slide your legs back. Inhale into your low cobra. We'll do it again. And then we're going to press back, start to round, come all the way back into your child's pose. So we're going to put that together a couple of times. So kind of like a little funky cat, cow, chaturanga. Inhale, start to find the arch. We're going to hold on to this arch as we exhale. Lead with your chin and your chest. They touch down on the floor. You got it, Kyla. Lengthen your legs back as you inhale into your low cobra. That's it. Exactly. And then from here, we exhale, start to find that rounding action in the thoracic. Pull back to our downward facing dog. Let's do it one more time. So inhale. Finding that deep arch, hold on to that arch as you exhale, lead with chin and chest. It's like you're going to go take a sip from a river. Inhale, let your legs lengthen out, come into your cobra. Nice work. And then exhale here, let's just press to our tabletop. Walk your hands forward a couple of inches, spread fingers, press evenly. Curl your toes under, downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go. Ha. And then just nod your head yes, and really kind of lift the chin up and then let it tuck towards your chest. So just trying to let the back of the neck release. And then nod, head no. Same thing, you can kind of look out over opposite shoulder, so maybe being a little more dramatic about this movement than we usually are. And then head just releases. So you're gazing between your feet, which are about hips distance apart. You might have a nice, generous bend in your knees, especially this first downward dog of the day, which can be really intense. That just takes some of the work out of the hamstrings, the lower back. It allows you to stretch those sit bones up towards the ceiling a little more. Good. From here, let's start to walk our feet forward to meet our hands. Get a little standing cobra here. So nice deep bend in your knees. You can have fingertips on floor or hands on shins or thighs. So as we inhale, chest lengthens forward, gaze comes forward, elbow squeeze in. That's right. And that nice. As you exhale, release down. Inhale, lengthen. Good. Exhale, fold in, couple more, just like this. Inhale, lengthen into your Ardha Uttanasana. Make sure that the weight feels pretty evenly distributed in your feet. Exhale. Roll in. This time, press down into your feet. Reach arms out and up. Take up space as palms reach up overhead. Nice. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. And let's just flow into some half sun salutes here. So feeling nice and steady on your feet. The arches are engaging a little bit. Even if you have flat feet, just kind of picture that in your mind's eye. All right, here we go. As we inhale, take up lots of space as you reach up. See if you can hold on to all of this space as you hinge forward at your waist, fold in. Again, you can always have a little bend in your knees. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. As you exhale, fold in, back of the neck lengthens, and then root down to rise on up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. We're going to do a few more of these. So just letting these feel really good. Inhaling, reaching, just warming up the body, finding this movement. Exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. As you exhale, you fold, press down into your feet, stretch arms out and up. Beautiful work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So we're going to do two more. I'm not going to cue you. You can follow along with me. If you know these well, close your eyes. Just take your time. Enjoy how these feel. Really connect with your breath here. These look great. Beautiful work. Good. So when you're done here, just taking a couple of breaths in your mountain pose, just checking in, noticing how you're feeling. Welcome, Brazil. All right. So finding your nice Tadasana, let's just release our arms by our sides. So palms face forward. There's a little sense of external rotation. So there's that openness across your heart and chest. So we're down into that left foot. Come up onto your right tippy toes. Keep squeezing this left hip in. It's going to want to pop out. Open up that right hip. So we're getting that external rotation. Maybe stay here like this. Maybe you lift that foot to the lower leg. You might reach down. Just use your hand to help it bring that foot above the knee. And if you're there, leg and knee are pressing in towards each other. Palms might come together at your heart. You're going to notice all these little micro movements happening in that standing foot, especially if you're on carpet. So that's a good thing. That's your foot getting really strong. All those little balancing muscles working to keep you upright. Helps to keep breathing. It helps to find a gazing spot in front of you to look at. Maybe you start to stretch your arms up. Good. Let's start to bring our gaze up. So depending upon where you are, the lower the ceiling, the easier this is. So you might fall out, you might wobble, no big deal. Let's imagine that somebody is holding us by our right wrist. Start to bring your gaze to your left fingers. And we're going to start to extend that arm off to the side. We're going to track with our eyes as we do this. And this is super challenging. My left leg, my standing leg, is wobbling a lot. Nice work. Beautiful focus, everyone. Go ahead and release. Ooh, give the legs a little walk out. You're probably feeling that in the outer left hip there. All right. So second side. So we root down into that right foot. You can feel that arch engage a little bit. And then we're thinking lower belly pulling in and up, outer right hip squeezing in. So a lot of containment, core containment. Come up onto those left toes. Even just coming here, we kind of want to take it easy. So keep working. Find that hip opening. Just being here like this, you're building strength in the foot. You're building strength in that standing leg. You're working your balance. If you want to go a little further, that foot might come to the shin. Maybe you can reach down, get that foot above the knee. So we don't want it on the knee since that's a joint. It puts lots of undue pressure there. Good. You're gazing in front of you. You're smiling. It's no big deal. It's just a tree pose. You're kind of just observing all of those little actions happening in that standing foot to keep you upright. Keep all of this length. See if you can find more as you start to stretch your arms up. And it's no big deal if you fall out. It's part of how we get good at this. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. You're really pressing your leg and thigh in towards each other. It's this asymmetrical stretch. Okay, so imagine somebody's pulling up on your left wrist. Start to bring your gaze up and off to those right fingers. Good, and then start to extend that arm off to the side, tracking with your eyes. It's gonna get really breezy in these trees here. You might just fall right over it, that's okay. As you exhale, go ahead and release. Give the legs a little shake out, nice work. All right, so we're at the top of our mat. We're gonna add on here. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, you hinge forward, fold in. Let the back of your neck lengthen and release. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. So keep gazing forward, bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then left foot. Couple of breaths here in our plank pose. So shoulders landing over wrists. Hips are in line with your shoulders. You're reaching back vigorously through your heels. You're gazing an inch or two in front of your fingertips. So the back of the neck is nice and long. You all got it. And you're gonna feel this, you're gonna feel this in your core. Couple more breaths. If you start shaking a little bit, that's okay. That is you getting strong. All right, we're gonna shift forward on our toes for this first one. Lower to knees. So classic modified chaturanga here. So this time our elbows are gonna bend an inch to no more than halfway. So shoulders in line with elbows, you're gazing forward. Land on your belly. Tops of the feet press. Inhale, low cobra. So you're not using your hands to press you up. You're generating the lift from the muscles in your back. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Good, exhale, lower down. Inhale up. Stay here for a breath or two. If you feel ready for an up dog, drag your hands back, wrists underneath elbows. Inhale, press into the tops of your feet. Press into your hands, your shins, your knees, your thighs. Lift up off the mat. Your shoulder heads press back. Again, just pressing your chest forward through the gates of your shoulders. Legs are active, whether you're in up dog or in your low cobra. Gorgeous, really nice, Kyla. As you exhale, roll over your toes. Downward facing dog. Make any tiny little adjustments that you need to here. Separate feet to hips distance apart. Make sure fingers are spreading and pressing evenly. And then a couple of breaths. Kind of letting everything slow down. So we use this downward facing dog as like home base. Kind of a little mini check-in every time we come here. Beautiful. As you inhale, you're gonna find a little bend in your knees. Come to your tippy toes. Look forward to where you're going. End of your exhale, you can walk forward. You can step right then left. You can hop both feet through. Nice. As you inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Root down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Nice work. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Good. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward, bend your knees, plant your palms, left foot back, then right. Couple of breaths here in plank pose. Fire up the body, use the legs more than you think you can. Feel the inner arm wrap towards the outer arm. Breath smooth and steady, jaw soft. Good, shift forward on your toes. So your option this time, you can do full chaturanga or you come to your knees again. Lower halfway, hover there, or come all the way down. Inhale into your low cobra or your upward facing dog. Nice. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. All right, so as we inhale, let's lift our right leg. Keep your hips even, so those right toes are pointing down. As you exhale, shift shoulders over wrists, curl knee into your nose. Inhale, lengthen back, three-legged dog. Nice work. Exhale, curl in knee to nose. Good, inhale, stretch back, three-legged dog. Exhale, curl in knee to nose. And then sneak that foot through. It might not be sneaky. You might have to pick it up and move it forward. Walk it off to the right so you're not on a tightrope. Little bend to the back knee. Inhale, rise up. Crescent pose. So just notice how both hips are facing forward here. Good. And with the bend in the back knee, we can start to release our tailbone down more so we can start to lengthen through the sides of the waist. Takes a little work out of that hip flexor. That being said, if you can keep this nice deep bend in your right knee and start to straighten that back leg, feel free to do so and feel that stretch. Good, and then let's exhale. Bring our arms out wide. Take a deep inhale here. And then exhale, just twist to the right. Keep the arms stretching out. Keep your torso nice and upright. These look great. Good. Inhale, back up to center. Arms reach overhead. Nice work. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Keep your gaze forward. Keep that back leg really strong. Step right foot back to meet left foot. Take an inhale here in your plank pose. Legs really active. Good. You got it, Annette. Shift forward. Lower halfway, hover, or all the way down. Inhale into your low cobra or your upward facing dog. As you exhale, pull back into your downward facing dog. As we inhale, left leg lifts. Hips stay even, so those left toes point down. Exhale, shift shoulders over wrists like coming into plank, but curl your knee into your nose, gaze forward. Inhale, stretch back, three-legged dog. Good, exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. One more. Inhale, lengthen back. So just building a little heat in the shoulders here. Exhale, knee to nose. And then step that foot through. You might have to pick it up and move it. It's actually a really hard move to do. Walk your left foot off to the left. Find a little bend in your right knee. That's going to help you to direct your tailbone down. Strong legs. Carry you up. Crescent pose. So a couple of breaths here. As we inhale, we're finding all of that length through the sides of our waist. And depending upon how tight you are here, you might keep that nice generous bend in that back knee. If you want to get a little more into that hip flexor, start to extend that leg to straight, but don't do that at the expense of straightening this left leg. So keep it nice and deep there. Does this side feel a little different in your body? Just noticing. Okay, so deep inhale. Exhale, take your arms out wide. Feel your shoulder blades release down and then squeeze in towards each other. Deep inhale. Strong legs. Think lowermost right rib turning towards the left. So you might not go very far. You don't need to. Just find a little gentle twist here. Nice work. Breath smooth and steady. Reaching out through your arms. Good. And then inhale, come back to center. Stretch arms up overhead. Great work. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Keep your gaze forward. So tailbone is stretching back, sternum is reaching forward, hips stay this low. Step to your plank pose. Take an inhale here. Nice work. Good. Shift forward on toes as you exhale. Your version of this chaturanga vinyasa can always mix and match. And then we meet back in our downward facing dog. From here, let's take a nice deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. Good, and then as you inhale, just find a little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. End of your exhale, step left foot forward, then right foot to meet it, or you hop through. Inhale, chest lengthens. Good, exhale, fold in. Good, inhale, press into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. So I know that you have to leave early today, Annette. I invite you to come into child's pose for the next 5 minutes if you would like, or a couple minutes if you can. And the rest of us, we're gonna do another little round of flow here before we move into our yin part of the practice. So from the top of your mat, as you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, right foot back, then your left foot. Same exhale, lower halfway, hover or all the way down, legs really strong. Inhale, into your low cobra or upward facing dog. Shoulder heads press back, elbows squeeze in. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Let's inhale, lift our right leg up. Again, hips stay nice and even, your toes are pointing down. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. Oh, good. Inhale, stretch back. Exhale, shift forward, knee to nose. Look where you're gonna place that foot, then bring it through. Good, so this one, let's start to heel toe our right foot off to the left twice. Spin into the back edge of that left foot. Your right heel is intersecting that left arch. Keep a deep, deep bend in this right knee. Feel that knee pulling back. Inhale, up and over. Into your Virabhadrasana 2. So sinking in nice and deep. Hips aren't on the same plane here. So this left hip is releasing down as you press that right knee back. So you're getting that hip opening there. It's like our tree pose in that front leg. Torso is squaring to the long edge of your mat. So sometimes we lean forward. Sometimes these left ribs come along for the ride. See kind of all these little adjustments happening. Let's inhale, press the front leg to straight. Reach arms up overhead. Good, exhale, sink in. Do that again, inhale. Press leg to straight, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, sink in. Keep your legs exactly like this. Press your right palm up towards the ceiling. Inhale, reverse your warrior. As you exhale, press that front leg to straight. Take an inhale here. And then as we exhale, we find that Virabhadrasana 2 again. Good, nice deep inhale. As you exhale, windmill your arms up and over. So palms plant, spin onto those left toes. Keep gazing forward, come back to your plank pose. Inhale here. Nice work. Exhale, shift forward on toes. Chaturanga Vinyasa. You can skip it too if you're starting to get a little cooked. As you exhale, downward facing dog. Nice. So as you inhale, left leg lifts, hips stay even. Exhale, shift your shoulders over your wrist, curl your knee into your nose. Nice. Inhale, stretch back, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose. Peek where you're going and then step that foot through. All right, so heel toe your left foot to the right twice. Spin into the back edge of your right foot. So you have a deep, deep bend in that left knee. Your left heel is intersecting that right arch. Windmill your arms up and over on your inhale. So finding your Virabhadrasana 2. Nice work. And again, so your torso is squaring towards the long edge of the mat. You want to make sure that you're not leaning forward into that left waist. Sinking in nice and deep. These look good. So as you inhale, you're going to start to press that front leg to straight. Reach your arms up overhead. Beautiful work. As you exhale, sink in Virabhadrasana 2. Good. Inhale, press that front leg to straight. Arms reach up overhead. And then as we exhale, we sink in here. Keep the legs exactly like this. Spin your left palm to face up. As you inhale, reach up and over, finding your reverse warrior. Take an exhale, press that front leg to straight. Good. Take a nice deep inhale here, spinning those right ribs up. And then as you exhale, nothing to it, just come back in to your Virabhadrasana 2. Gorgeous work. Take a deep inhale. And then as you exhale, windmill arms up and over. Hips stay low. You step back to downward facing dog or to your plank, taking a Chaturanga Vinyasa, moving nice and easy with your breath, noticing how things are starting to open up in the body. Good. Couple breaths here. Kind of letting everything slow down. All right, so let's just do one more little kind of heating pose here. So from your downward dog, step your feet together at the back of your mat. So it's like you have a giant leg. Fire up the leg. So really feel the front of the thigh press towards the back of the thigh, inner thighs spiral back. As you inhale, shift forward into your plank pose here. Good, so we're gonna root down into our right palm. We're gonna roll to the outer edge of our right foot. We're gonna find our triangle pose. You can take your left foot in front as a little kickstand, not our triangle pose, our side plank pose. Or you can have your feet stacking. And then if you want to play with this, if you want to play with coming into triangle pose here, bend your right knee in, open up that hip, and then you can use your hand if you need to. Bring that foot to the thigh or to the shin. Notice if you dip down in those right hips or that right hip, press it up, shoulder blade stacking. Nice work. Breath smooth and steady. All right, so bend that knee back in, straighten out, unwind, woo, pull back, downward dog. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. All right, one more side. So feet step together. You have a giant tree trunk leg. As you inhale, shift shoulders over your wrists. Root into your left palm. Make sure that that shoulder is over your wrist. Roll to the outer edge of your left foot. Again, the little modification is to take this right foot in front as a little kickstand. Both good places to be. Try to lengthen through that left side of your body. If you'd like, bend your knee in, open the hip, and then place that foot somewhere on that thigh. And then notice the tendency for this right hip to fold back. Keep spinning it slightly forward so your hips are stacking on top of each other. Good. Release out of the tree. Unwind nice and easy. Final chaturanga vinyasa. If you would like one, you don't necessarily need one, so don't feel any pressure to take that. When we pull back to our downward facing dog, take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. And then from here, just lower down to your knees, and we are gonna start to move in to the yin part of our practice. So I'm going to give a couple of different options. I'm going to just kind of show you really quickly the series that we're going to go through. You can just watch this if you don't want to come into the poses right away. And I'll give variations that you can do on your back as well. So we're going to get into the hips today. We're going to start with our sleeping swan. So you'll know this as single pigeon. So we're going to be here. Props really nice, especially underneath the hip of the leg that's in front. You can come down as far as you want. I'm going to give you the option to also turn this into a twist today. So I will talk you through that. So once we've been there for a minute or two, we're going to come into our Sukhasana or a double pigeon. So little forward fold here. And then we'll take that into shoelace pose potentially. This is hard for a lot of us. So I'll also give you the other options. So if you are really tight in your hips, you might find that it's better to do this sequence on your back. So you would just be in your reclining pigeon here. You can stay here as we come into our Sukhasana. If you wanna cross one shin in front of the other, kind of squeeze in if that's accessible in your body, you can do that. You can stack the knees when we come into that position. So that's where we're going for this first little sequence. So you can start somewhere and then maybe you decide like this is too much today, so you back out, but kind of head where you think might be right for you today. And let's all start on our right side. So if you're coming into that sleeping swan, you can enter this from downward facing dog. You can do it from your tabletop, but you're gonna bring that right leg forward. And you're gonna slide that left knee back. We're gonna be here a couple of minutes. So if there's any tenderness underneath that left knee, put a little padding there. And then also maybe put a little, a block or a blanket underneath that right sit bone. And then also the closer your right heel is to your left hip, the easier this is gonna be. That's relative because this is really challenging. But we are gonna be here for a couple of minutes. So find a place that feels comfortable. And again, if you're gonna be on your back, you're just coming into your reclining pigeon. You can just be here like this, or you can hug the knee into your chest. So a couple minutes here. If you're in your sleeping swan, it's nice to start out kind of high, but then eventually you can start to walk your arms down or forward, maybe resting your head on a blanket or a block. So just finding a place that feels good there. In terms of breath, you can be doing your Ujjayi breath if that feels good. I think it's nice. It's just gives my brain something to chew on. You are welcome to do any other pranayama variations too that kind of help maybe take the mind off the sensations happening in the body. So an example of that might be your box breath. So inhaling to the count of 5 or 6, pausing to the count of 5 or 6, and then exhaling the breath out to the count of 5 or 6, and then pausing on that exhale to 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, kind of just whatever feels good in your body. So as opposed to when we're doing these poses in our vinyasa practice, we're usually pretty engaged in the muscles. So I actually want you to let the muscles release here. You are going to be feeling intense stretching in the joints, kind of like deeper. We start to get into the fascia a little bit here. It's quite intense. And especially as we're in these holds, you might find that you've gone too far and you need to back out a little bit. So always do that. And you can always come to your back if you need to, if you're upright. Conversely, you kind of ease your way in here, you might find that things start to release and open up and you can melt in a little deeper. Okay, so we're gonna be here for another minute. If you do want to take this into a twist, you're going to kind of lift up on your right hand if you're in that sleeping swan. You're gonna thread that left arm underneath, and then you might wanna have a block to rest your head on. You're gonna stretch that right arm up towards the ceiling, and then externally rotate, reach around, and grab a piece of shirt. You might be able to grab your right toes, and then you can just gently lean that right shoulder head back. If you are in your reclining pigeon and you want to do a version of that, you would take your arms out into a T shape and then start to roll to the outer edge of your left foot, stamp that right foot into the earth, and then maybe gaze out over those right fingertips, I'm sorry. And again, especially in this yin practice, if you go somewhere and it just feels too intense, back out, or maybe decide not to do the pose. All right. So if you took the twist variation, it just starts to unwind. And then and same thing, if you're on your back, just come back to center. If you're in your sleeping swan, press into your fingertips, draw hips back, press the shoulder heads back. So find a little length. All right, so if you're upright, you're gonna take that left leg up and over. You might want to sit up on some blankets here. So crossing left shin in front of right shin. So we're gonna get into the opposite hip now. If it is available in your body and you can stack shins and that doesn't put undue pressure on the knee, you're welcome to do that. We're gonna root down, inhale, stretch arms up. Good, and then as you exhale, you fold in. And so a lot of times when we're doing these forward folds, when we're doing our vinyasa practice, we're trying to keep this openness across our heart and chest. It's okay if you get ugly today and you round a lot. It's just going to take the sensation to some different places. Again, use a bolster underneath your belly, use a block underneath your head, anything to give you a little support. And if you're on your back here in your reclining pigeon, so you can just stay here like this. If you would like to, cross that right shin over your left shin, kind of grab the outer edges of your feet and squeeze in. You're going to kind of get the approximation of a forward fold in this hip opener. So see what feels good to you there. And then again, just listen to your breath. Give yourself a little more space, a little more room if you need to. Observe if muscularly, if there are places where you're gripping here that you don't need to. So if you're in the seated version, a lot of times the groin, the inner thigh starts to get involved. Can you soften there? So yin is definitely very different than a restorative practice. There's definitely a lot more sensation happening here as opposed to just the idea of relaxing over props. We're definitely getting into some deep places. So I don't think it's easy. I actually think it's very challenging. It's also really interesting to work in this way too. It does get into some different places. And we've probably got about 6 or 7 more really good breaths here. So make any little adjustments that you need to. Back out a little bit. Maybe you can kind of release in a little further. Good. One more deep inhale. Full, complete exhale. And then inhale, just start to roll on up. And we're going to come into our shoelace pose if we're seated. So you'll know this is our Gomukhasana legs, so cow face legs. So we're going to take our left knee on top of our right knee. And this is actually really challenging for most of us to do. So again, sitting up on top of something can be really nice. Maybe you're not going to cross quite as deep, but you're bringing that left leg over a little more. So it's okay if knees don't stack. And then also the more parallel your shins are to the top of the mat, the more intense you're going to feel this. So heels closer to hips is really nice. So you might be feeling a pretty intense stretch, being pretty upright. If it feels like you can come forward a little more, you're welcome to do that. So if you are on your back, you are welcome to stay in either of the 2 poses that we've just done, but you can also come into this Gomukhasana stretch on your back. So entirely cross that right thigh over the left thigh. Start to hug knees in and kind of think of your legs as handlebars here, and you might be able to grab the shins, the ankles. Maybe you can get the outer edges of your feet and you gently pull in, and you're going to get some nice sensation in places where we don't usually get a stretch. If you're seated and you want to try the reclining version, that might feel a little better in your body, so you're welcome to go there. All of this hip work, it's really intense. A lot of big muscles come into play, a lot of different things attaching. So again, back out if you need to, do less. Use your breath to help you kind of be in the intensity of the pose. A few more good breaths here. Slowly start to roll on up on your inhale. And then, so if you're on your back, just uncross, give your knees a squeeze into your chest, and you can hug in here if you're seated. And then we're gonna come into our second side, left side. So again, however you wanna enter this, if you're upright and doing that resting swan, you can do that from downward facing dog or your tabletop. So coming into that left side, which might feel a lot different. So again, really lengthen back nice and long through that right leg. Maybe give that knee a little padding. Closer your left heel is to that right hip, the easier this is going to be. And then also feel free to slide a little prop underneath that right sit bone. If you're on your back, you're crossing your left ankle above your right knee. And you can just stay there like that, especially if you're feeling that intense hip stretch. Otherwise, you can bend your right knee into your chest. And then if you're in your swan pose, taking your time, we're here a few minutes, you start to melt in any amount, maybe resting your hand on block so you can make fists with your hands, a bolster. Maybe none of the above, maybe you just stay pretty upright. Again, breath is smooth and steady, maybe counting the breath or doing some pranayama, so that square breath, that box breath. Never hesitating to back out a little bit. All right, so if you wanted to take that twist, if you are in your reclining pigeon, just start to walk your hands in. You're gonna thread that right arm behind that left wrist, and then you're gonna lay down. You might have a block or two underneath your shoulder and your head, and then you can stay here like this or start to reach your left arm up. Externally rotate, reach around. Grab a piece of shirt, maybe you can grab your left toe. If you're on your back in your reclining pigeon, so if your legs are squeezed in, just spring them in so that right foot comes to the floor. Start to roll to the outer edge of your right foot, stamp your left foot into the mat, and then maybe start to gaze out over your left fingertips. So just introducing a little twist here, which can feel really nice. And if you are in your twist, go ahead and just start to make your way out. If you're in your sleeping swan, just come up to your fingertips. Let your spine get nice and long. Reach back through those right toes as you bring your sternum forward through the gates of your shoulders. Nice work. And then we move into our double pigeon. If you're seated, so crossing right shin in front of left, maybe sitting up on some blankets, maybe crossing, stacking shins on top of each other as long as your knees feel okay doing that. And then you begin to take a little forward fold here. Doesn't have to be very deep. And again, you can be quite ugly about this. Not so concerned to keep the spine so long this time. You can round in, kind of feel that stretch in the back of your neck. If you are on your back here, you are welcome to stay in that reclining pigeon. If you want to play with crossing the legs, so your left shin is going to land on top. Right shin is going to land on top of that left shin, so it's the opposite. And then you might be able to grab the outer edges of your feet and pull in here. So you're getting all of the same benefits of the seated version. It's maybe not quite as intense, so it feels a little easier for some of us. Always returning to your breath, especially if this side is feeling incredibly intense for you. And again, always backing out a little bit if you need to, even moving into an entirely different variation. Breath smooth and steady. Just relaxing any places where you're working muscularly that you don't need to. Good start to make your way out of this. All right, so we're gonna find that shoelace position. So moving that right knee over left knee potentially. Again, if you're a little tighter, you might need to be sitting up on something. Heels might come really close to your sit bones. Also, your knees might not be stacking. So maybe you're kind of doing a double pigeon, but you're sliding things in a little tighter. And then again, just sitting like this in this pose in particular can be plenty. Maybe you start to fold in. You could even have fingertips on blocks in front of you. If you are on your back here, right knee on top of left knee. And again, maybe you can kind of grab the shins, the ankles. You might be able to get the outer edges of the feet and gently pull in. So just another variation of the pose. It's a little accessible, or a little more accessible for many of us. And they're both doing the same things. You might be able to do one seated on one side, but then the other side, it's just not happening. So do modify. Keeping soft and face, if not keeping your face and jaw nice and soft. What am I saying? Keeping that breath smooth and steady. Good, we've got a few more good breaths here. We're going to start to make our way out of this. So if you're seated, roll on up. If you're on your back, just give the knees a squeeze into your chest. Extend legs to straight if you're seated. Give them a little shake out. All right, so we're going to come into reclining butterfly position. And again, you can just kind of peek and watch. I'm going to give you a few different variations. Do potentially have some props close by. So you could just come into this pose in and of itself. So soles of the feet are going to come together, arms by your side. So for a lot of us, this puts a lot of tugging on the groin. You might even feel this in your lower back. So maybe you're going to want to take some blocks underneath your legs to give you a little support. You also might want to get into the thoracic a little more here. So you're going to take a blanket and you're going to open up the blanket and then find kind of a skinny roll. We've done this before. We've all done this. You could also roll up your mat. And that's going to land at the bottom of the shoulder blades, that bra strap. And then the same thing with the legs. So kind of opening up, you might need to take some blocks underneath the thighs. The other variation that's really nice, it's going to be a little more intense. You have another blanket cushion from the couch. You might take your heels up onto the bolster, and so that's going to give you a little more intense stretch. And here too, you can take blocks underneath your thighs. So just set up in the variation that feels good. And again, you can always start somewhere and decide, ooh, maybe this is too much, and shift. You can also decide maybe this isn't enough and add on a little more. Of course, the hardest part is just kind of getting all of the proppage, if you're using that, into the right place. We'll be here for a few minutes. Wherever you're at, feel your shoulder blades just relaxing and getting really heavy. Feel the back of your neck nice and long. Feel your breath smooth and steady. Notice how your chest expands on the inhale. About another minute here. Good, wherever you're at, take a nice deep inhale. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. Good, and we're gonna make our way into our Shavasana. So use your hands to the outside of your legs to draw your knees in. And then I'm gonna actually, if you have the bolster, I'm gonna just keep it underneath my knees. If you had your feet on the bolster, you can lift up, move that blanket out of the way. And you can just be in a classic Shavasana here. But take another deep inhale. Let the breath go. Ha. And then completely surrender, relax, melt in here. And this should feel really good. So at this stage of the game, we're definitely not feeling a stretch anywhere. We're feeling really heavy. So bones heavy, muscles just melting off the bone, skin melting off the muscles, feeling really supported by the floor, the earth underneath you. Breath just finding its own natural rhythm, soaking up these final moments that we have together. Good. Take a deeper inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh, the breath out, let it go, ha. Start to bring some gentle movement back to your body. Wiggle fingers, toes, stretch out. And then you're just going to roll to one side or the other, finding the fetal position. And press yourself up to a comfortable seat. And then just pause and check in here. Notice how you're feeling, noticing what's shifted for you this past hour. Send yourself love and gratitude for showing up, for working hard, for making the effort. And then just promise yourself that you're going to carry this feeling you've created with you into the rest of the day, the rest of the week ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. Bow your head with a smile.